When we first moved down to Florida, it was November, December timeframe of 2019, and we had completely uprooted our entire life. And so we had a church that we were serving up north, and one of our biggest hurdles was trying to find a church. We really wanted to find a church right off the bat. And when we got down here, we tried a few other churches that really weren't a mix for us. And you know if something's going to work out and almost instantaneously. So there was a couple of churches that just weren't a mix. And then unfortunately, COVID hit. And then everything was shut down. And we were like, okay, so we started going back to the mobile device, streaming our old church, which is fine for a short term. But we are a community. We want to have fellowship with real people and not a computer screen. And so we kind of paused for a moment. We prayed, and then a week later, we're neighbors with Pastor Sean and his family. We had no idea who they were, and we ended up driving by their house in creeper fashion and noticed a New Hampshire license plate down in Florida, Groveland, Florida. Like, what is that all about? Okay, so more me than her.
Thank you.
I'm pretty nosy sometimes. So what do? It's 8:30 at night?
8 at night.
8 at night, and we say, hey, what do we got to lose? I'm very curious. So we knock on the door, and Lisa opens up the door, and because she's super nice, she somehow lets us in. I don't know why. Because the question was, hey, we're 2 neighbors down. Nice to meet you. Whose car is that out there with a New Hampshire license plate? Because that's where we're from. And her name, this is the crazier part, is Faith, which is a friend of their daughter's. And things just started connecting in a God divine way. They invited us in. We had a lovely conversation, and then we were invited to the church. And we showed up to the church that Sunday, and it was like home. It just felt like home.
It's what we were searching for.
It's what we were searching for. And don't ask me to describe what home feels like, but it felt.
You know it when you feel it.
It felt right. Gospel's being preached, Jesus-centric, and that's really what we're looking for. And it's just a divine story of how God's going to lead you to a church. It's a unique story. I don't think I've ever heard of a creeper knocking on a door to find their church, but that's how we found our church.
How we found our church?
I feel like the small community churches are more easily accessible to serve others, and that's kind of where the home feel comes from, where the community knows each other, the community knows who they need to pray for, the community knows what the needs are of the person next door, sitting next to them, and you don't necessarily get that in a larger community church. And our church wasn't huge up north, but it was certainly a church that knew everybody, and it was small enough where if you needed to provide a meal for somebody, you could provide a meal for somebody. People just know who you are. They know where your heart is. And it's nothing fake about it.
But you can form relationships there, and when you go, you know who's there, and you know that they know you, you know them, and you can almost rely on it every week.
Yeah.
I've met a couple people that have really taken an interest in my life, and so it's one of those feelings where you know the people are truly interested in you, your well-being, and it is a huge factor we were looking for. in a church because it's what we had up north, and it's why we went to our church up north, not just because you were born into it, but it was the community. It was everybody rallying around it, everybody all the time.
2020 has been crazy. I think we can all agree to that. But yet, at the same time, just starting, when did we get started? In April, March, April?
Yeah.
We have seen the church grow immensely, not just through population. And maybe some of that has to do with people coming back from time off COVID. But every week it has been growing by one or two families, or one or two people really, that we have noticed. On top of the congregation growing, I would say everything else has grown with it, and I think there's some pretty good plans in place for 2021.
The playground, the improvement.
The playground.
On the kids love that.
The kids kids love that. There's just growth in a year that you shouldn't have seen growth. I think is a God testament where the world may be stopped, but He's certainly not. And I think Hillside Community Church is experiencing that growth in a year that really maybe some churches aren't.
Right.